Okay, so as we have discussed that in last session, we have discussed about the new functionalities that are added into the CSS3, right? Today also we are going to see some another new things added, right? And which is useful uh, in your website to make it responsive, right? Before that, we start first gradients, right? So all we know the gradients. Okay, so if you suppose if you want to create a background image, right? And instead of solid colors, if you want to mix up the colors, two or more colors, and you want to make it shaded like things, right? So in that case, you can just go for the gradients, right? And as we know that today, apart from the simple colors, gradient colors are very much popular. Okay, and to create this, for they are creating some functions, inbuilt functions like linear gradients, suppose say radial gradients, right? So you don't need to worry about these algorithms and all that. You just need to use it and you will achieve your results, right? So it will create a good impact on your web page. Okay. So as we discussed that the gradients are used for the background images and work on almost all the web browsers, right? It is supported in all the web browsers. Right. So here, these are the different types of gradients we have, and based on these, you will achieve the different shadings and patterns in your particular background images, right? So here is the linear gradient, radial gradient, right? Then suppose for repeating linear gradient, repeating radial gradients, right? And multiple gradients, right? So in a multiple gradients, you can combine more than three colors, right? RGBA is the A is for alpha, or you can also say it's for the opacity, right? So these are the different types of gradients we have, right? And with the use of this, you can create a beautiful, you can say, background images, right? So let's see some of the examples so you can get the idea how these gradients are working and how you can create a different backgrounds, right? So suppose if I take one example for linear gradients, right? So here for linear gradients, you have to combine two colors, right? So here linear gradients means you can go from one direction to another direction. Either the direction is from top to bottom, left to right, right? So that way you can do that. Plus for after using multiple colors, right? Also you can mix up multiple colors and also you can put that. And as we know that you can also use full color to transparent, right? So transparency is also can be achieved. So let's discuss one by one quickly so you will get the idea. Now suppose say for example, I have one division, right? And achieve I want to create a background image with the gradient colors, right? So here for my division, I have my size is height is 300 pixel, right? And background color default is one the blue, right? But after that, I want to just change the background image with linear. So here you can define the type, right? So linear dash gradient. So here is we are using linear gradient, okay? And into bracket, you have to provide two different colors, okay? So after providing these colors, you can see that you can achieve this kind of background image. You can see over here. This is the height of 300 pixels, so that's why it is covering this much area. Or you can also put 100% width that it can cover all the area, right? But our main goal is to see this effect, right? So this is the combination of that two colors of here, whatever we have seen, right? So after that, it will create this kind of effect, right? So now suppose if I put it in a comment, And let's go for, this is from top to bottom, you can say from top to bottom. So first color will be applicable on the top and the second one color will be applicable to here, right? Now let's go for this. Okay, from left to right. So with the same color, we are going from left to right. So here you have to add, right? So to right, so comma, different colors you have to provide, right? So you can just go to the syntaxes, MD and references, and you will find the different syntax. So here I want to go from left to right with two colors. So now if I refresh this, so you can see the difference like this. So from left side, the first color will be applicable and the second color will be on the right hand side. So it achieves the direction from left to right side. So this kind of shadings you can, different beautiful shadings you can create, right? After that, it is very simple background image and then you have to put just linear gradient. Now let's create some effect with the multiple colors. So randomly I have choose different colors over here, right? And you can see now here we are using only colors, no need from the directions. So it will apply from top to bottom by default. And here we are also using linear gradient, right? So if I execute this code, then you can see it will create a different colors like this. Okay, so these are the different you can say methods for linear. Now suppose from full color to transparency, if you want to achieve some transparency, right? So here you can see that in this particular background image, we have this to the left. So it is from right to left and RGBA, right? So we have to use RGBA and here 0 means the transparency, right? So it's alpha, you can also say. So 0 and 1. So it is between 0 and 1, right? So 0 means totally transparent and 1 means full color, right? So you can see that here, if I refresh this, okay, so you can see that, right? So this one blue one is a full color, you can say, right? Here, little bit transparency will be there, okay? So this kind of also you can create these linear gradients, right? So this is about the linear gradients. So with the use of linear gradients, you can create this kind of, you can say, background images in a linear way, right? Now, second method is conic gradients, right? So similarly, in a conic gradients also, there are different methods we have. So first of all, let's go for the basic one. So here you can see that I have one division tag. Similarly, as we did in our last example, we have a gradient class, right? And here with the gradient class, we have height and width is at 250 pixels, right? And default background color is a blue, right? Now, suppose if I want to create a conic gradient background, so let's see what kind of effects we are getting by using this particular type, right? So if I open this in a browser, so you can see this kind of conic. So here you can observe that this kind of little bit center point kind of stuff is there. And this kind of colors are going to be created. It is the combination of red and yellow, right? So you can observe over here, it is the combination of red and yellow, right? Now, suppose say for example, if we go for the by positioning, right? So conic gradient with position centered, right? So here you can see different types you can define at 0% and 50%, right? So at this particular positions, red 10%. Here you can also provide the percentage of colors, right? 10% red, 30% yellow, and 60% green, right? But where at 0 and 50%, right? So suppose if I use this. So you can see that 0 and here is the 50% here, right? You can see this particular nice shading, you will observe that, right? So this kind of things also you can combine. Okay, so for that you just need to write background, and you just go for conic gradient, right? Suppose if you want to go for angles, so conic gradients with rotation angle of 35-degree, right? So from 35-degree, these are the different color combinations, right? So you can see that when I refresh this, so from 35-degree, you can see different color combinations are going to be started, right? So these are the different shading styles, right? So you can observe that with the use of this, you will get good responses for the colors. Similarly, for repeated conic colors, right, gradients, you will find, right? Now, the third type is a radial gradient, right? So uh, here it is radial gradient, right? So similarly, we have a division over here, right? And let me put in a comment for a moment, right? And this is a basic radial gradient with three colors, right? Okay, now here you can see that if I execute this code, okay, so it is in a radial, so circular manner, you will see the particular gradient effects, right? So this is for the combination of three colors, right? After that, if you just want to put it like differently spaced colors, so for percentage wise, if you want to define, right, so you can just go for it. Then this is 10% and all that, you can observe that. So percentage wise, differently spaced colors, right? So you can see over here, so it is like this. Okay, so it covers the area according to the percentage provided, right? So 10% for the red, 20% for the yellow, and maximum 80% for the green one, right? So it covers that area with that particular defined colors. Okay, amount of colors. Now for similarly for 0 and 30%, right? So position centered, so it will create a effect like that center point kind of thing, right? So if I execute and refresh this, so you can see like this. Okay, so this is a radial, you can say effects. Okay, uh, it is one line code only, but these are the different methods. So I have provided all the things in a single code, right? But at a time you can just use one type and you can create a background, right? So it's for the repeating, you see that, right? So the circles are repeating. You observe the output, right? So for that, what you need to do, you need to write a repeating radial gradient, right? So which property we are using? Repeating radial gradient. And then we are using three different colors. Okay, right? So this kind of effects you are getting with the radial gradients, right? Suppose a specific shape, if you want to provide a radial gradient colors, then also it is possible. Let's see the example first. So here you can see this is for ellipsis and this is for circle, right? So for different shapes also you can create the radial gradients, right? So for that, you just need to use that class gradient 1 and gradient 2, right? And then radial gradient and radial gradient. Here, by default, it is the ellipsis. And if you want to convert it into circle, then also it is, you can write that it is a circle. Okay. So this way, you can create a different gradial backgrounds according to your requirement with the combination of different colors, right? So this is all about for the gradients. Okay, is there any doubt up to this, anyone? Anyone, is there any doubt about this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, now we are going to discuss very important topic, right? That is the responsive web pages. Okay, so in today's requirement, you have to be responsive, right? You have to create a responsive web pages. So what is the meaning of responsiveness, right? So responsive web page means a website that responds on all the screen devices. Suppose, say, for example, majority of our surfing devices are desktop, tablets, smartphones, and smart TVs, right? And in these smart TVs, we are also using less, but we are most probably using desktop, tablet, and smartphones, right? But as well as smart TV is also used, right? So all the devices have a different screen size, right? So whenever you are creating any web page, web content, right? So how you can fix the size of each and every device? So your particular web page looks like a particular content are properly placed on that page, right? So how you can make it, right? Suppose, say, for phone size is like this, your tablet size is like this, and even desktop is covering like this, right? So we have a different resolutions, right? We have different sizes. So how we can fit our content into these particular different sizes, right? So that is known as the responsiveness. So that can be achieved with two things, right? Viewport that is added in a CSS2, right? And the media query that is added in CSS3. Okay. So by using these two concepts, right, viewport and media query, you can achieve the responsiveness, right? So viewport we have already discussed, right? So that is the viewable content area that is known as the viewport, right? And horizontal is a, you can say, viewport width, and vertical is a viewport height. If you have remember, I have already discussed this with the screen resolution and diagrams, right? So that is a viewport. So today we are going to see viewport. One example we'll see, and after that we'll discuss about the media query, right? So you can observe over here that viewport, or it is also known as a meta viewport, is a meta tag used in a head section, right? So if you want, if you go for the HTML5 style, so the viewport is by default, it will be there, right? So with the use of that, you can achieve the responsiveness, right? And it is declared like this in a meta tag. You have to name viewport, and the content is width equal to device width, right? And initial scale is 1.0, right? So this is the default declaration according to the sizes, right? So that is particular viewport, right? So now, suppose, say, for example, if I show you the example for a viewport, right? So you can, yes, here is that. Okay, so how viewport uh, different in a different screen resolution. Like suppose, say, for example, if my screen is 100% wider, right? Then I want to display this. If my screen is 75% wider, then, and if my screen is 50% wider, then I want to display this. The image is same. You can observe over here. Image I have used same, right? But at a different width. 100%, 75%, and the 50%, right? So here you can see you have to take these three figures, right? Okay, you have to define classes. Okay, you can give your name. You can provide a meaningful name to each and every class that can be easily remembered. Okay, now I want to display image in a block wise, right? So all three images are in a one below one by one, and maximum width is 100. So for by default image, my width is 100, right? Okay. Now what I want to do, these are the for headings. Okay. For headings, do any styling. We are not going to discuss it. Figures, margins you can put, right? So this is the bottom margin is 24 pixel. So that there may be some gap between the images, right? Okay, these are the common properties you can set. Now we are interested over here, right? Suppose say for example, my screen width is up to 75%. When it reaches to 75%, right? So I want to display this image in that area, 75% screen size, right? If my screen size is 50%, right? Then my image width is 50%, right? So now you can see over here, according to our screen width, that particular images should respond, right? So how it behaves, like suppose say if I run this code, so you can see over here, by default, whenever my screen size is 100%, then all the images look same, right? But when I decrease the size, as I'm decreasing the size, you can observe over here, right? You can observe over here, okay? You can observe like this. This is my minimum, right? So you can see now, at particular screen width, according to that your image behaves. That is known as the responsiveness, right? So by default, if you go for 100%, then it looks same all the images, right? But as and when your screen size is going to be changed, then you will get a different images. Okay, right? So this is known as the particular responsiveness with the viewport, right? Now, one, that is a media query, that is very important one, right? And almost all the recent websites are going to use these media queries for the responsiveness, right? So it is the one professional for responsive web pages, right? So let's discuss what is media query. So media queries are used in a CSS using @media rule to specify the type of media we are using, right? Suppose say for like screen, like printing area. So according to that, you are going to use this media query, right? So what are the common media types we have? So we have like media types mean the type of media devices like screen-based devices, print for printers, and the speech-based devices, right? So these are the different types of devices we have media types. So you can define for specific media devices, right? Like screen, print, and speech, right? But suppose if you don't know the target device, then you can just go for all. All means it will be applicable to all the devices, and that is the default media type, right? Now, how you can define this? So @media rule, you have to remember what are the media features, right? So you can define width, height, minimum height, aspect. You can define orientation. You can define whether it is a portrait or it is a landscape, right? Aspect ratios, you have already know that whenever you see any video in VLC, then you can define different aspect ratios, 9, 4s and 10 and all that, right? So these are the different aspect ratios we have. Okay, so that you can specify with the use of this media query, right? Now, suppose say for example, if I want to talk about how this media query is going to be used, right? So let's go for the examples how you can use this media query. So the first of all, let's go for media query tools. This is very simple example I have created just now, right? So suppose say for example, I have a two divisions, right? So there is a division 1, there is a division 2, right? And I have defined the division 1 and division 2 classes, right? So now, actually how my divisions are looks like whenever I load the page. So division 1 and division 2 class I have. Division 1 contains 70%. Division 2 contains the 30% area. Both are floated at the left, so it will looks like in a parallel. and I have different colors. So if I execute this code, you can see output will be like this. So you can observe over here. So this is my division 1 that contains the 70% of area, and this is my division 2 that contains the 30% of my area, right? And a total width is the 100%. Total width is the 100%. You can observe over here, right? Now let's go ahead. What I want to change, I want to make it responsive, right? So what I want to do over here, suppose say for example, if I put the comment over here in this media query, right? Okay. Now let's execute this code, and you can observe whenever. Okay. You can observe whenever I am decreasing my screen size, right? So from desktop to now I am coming to the mobile or tablet view, right? So my contents are messy. You can see this division 1, division 2 comes right here. My division box is right like this. So this is not the responsiveness of your particular web page, right? So at a different screen, after different screen size, your particular content should be at the actual position, right? So how I make it responsive? Okay, so let me uncomment this and execute this code, right? So what I want to do over here, first of all, you can observe over here that at 100%, it contains 70 and 30% of size. But here I am using type of media is a screen. This is my maximum width. So maximum width is 768, right? So from 0 to 768 pixel, what will be the width of my division 1? That is 50%, and division 2 also 50%. So now instead of 70/30, it contains 50/50. But when my screen size will be at the below 768, right? So let's go for this first. Okay, if I go for this and if I run this, so this is my 100%. Now whenever I reaches to the 50%, now you can observe both the division have 50/50%, right? So here you can see now this division is 50%, and now this division is also 50%. This is my total device width, that is 100%. Total width of device, right? So you can observe over here that it behaves like this. Now what I want to do over here, now suppose if I go up to, let me remove, okay. Now you observe over here, whenever I reaches to the size of 500 pixel, right? So here, now I'm containing the width 100% both. So now my division will come below. So how I can achieve, how I am able to achieve this? So here you can see a max width equal to 500 pixel, right? So when it reaches to the 500 pixel, what should be the width of my division 1 and 2? That is 100 and 100%, right? So you can observe here for different screen size, right? So 768 is almost equal to iPad device, and 500 or 468, below 468, that comes under the screen of mobile devices, right? So you can describe, you can define these three kinds of media types in your code to make it responsive, right? So now if you see that this is a responsiveness of my code at 100% like this, at 50% like this, and 100% also like this, like at the specific pixel size. So So this is known as the responsive page. So that you have to define, guys, right? Example I have demonstrated over here, and with this example you can easily understand the meaning of responsiveness, right? So suppose say for example, if I how you can prove that. So suppose say for example, if I go for Apple site, right? Suppose say apple.com. Okay, so this is the Apple site, right? Official Apple site. You can see over here, right? Now, if I go to the inspect elements, you just observe this, right? And here, okay, for this, let me go to the Chrome. I need to just set up that thing. So, okay, so here, suppose apple.com. Okay, so this is my official site, right? Apple.com. And now here, suppose if I go to inspect, right? And here you can see this is a responsive button, right? So toggle your devices to the responsiveness. So you can see in iPhone 5, the Apple site looks very professional and all the contents are at the same page. You can go to the iPad, then also you can see this is the meaning of responsiveness, and whenever you create a website, this should be there, right? Obviously. Suppose if you go for 7, 6, 8, right? Whatever device you go, the content will be at the same place. You remember, guys, right? So this is known as the responsiveness. Now, the official website you are using that particular thing, okay, media query. Let me zoom it. It will be not reflected over here, right? But suppose if you go over here and you can see this is a media. This is a media query. Whatever I have written @media screen size. Let me see if zoom is there. No, zooming is not there. Okay, so you can see @media screen and maximum width is 734 pixel and minimum width is 0 pixel, right? So you can observe like this. Any official websites are using a media query @media query like this. You can see. Okay, guys, right? So this is the power of media query for the responsiveness, and you need to always query in your code, right? Now, this is about the media query. I have also more examples, but we cannot discuss right now. So let's go for our last topic, that is the CSS variables. Okay, so I hope you all know the meaning of variables. Okay, so variables are values that are defined in a CSS document with the goal of reusability and reducing redundancy in the CSS values, right? Okay, so here you can see that in this particular image, pseudo element, section title, and section border. These are the three different. This is not the time for play, guys, right? Who is going to change the presentations every time? Okay. So these are the three different sections we have. right? So you can observe things over here. These are the three different elements: pseudo element, section title, and section border. Okay, so in this particular example, to create this, you can observe over here, this color is used three times. The value of this color is used three times, right? So in this snips, the value of this color used three times. Imagine this for a large project and different CSS files, right? And suppose your project manager asks you to change the color of this, right? So it is a very tedious task. You just either go for find and replace, that is the best solution, right? But this is not the professional solution. Okay, so that's why they are come up with this CSS variable idea, right? So it is added in a CSS3 version. So how you can simplify this particular task. Okay, so in these snips, what changes you need to make, right? So suppose, say for example, if I go to the next slide, so we can use CSS variable, and this can make our task very easy, right? So first of all, how you can define the CSS variable? So double hyphen, you can use double hyphen. You can see over here, double hyphen I have used, right? Okay. After that, the variable name you have to write. Okay. For starting element or for the HTML main element, you can just write a colon root. Okay. So it is applicable to everywhere in an entire body. Okay. Now how I can use this? So you can see that this particular color was used three times earlier, right? But I just don't need to use this color each and every time. So what I'm going to define, I'm going to define this color in a one variable, that is dash dash color dash primary. So this is my primary color, right? For the entire website. So dash dash color dash primary. So dash dash is the syntax for defining the variable. After that, we are going to define the variable name. So now when I use this, then I just need to use this color name. I just use this color name. Now suppose if my project manager wants to change the color, then I just need to change the value over here, and that will be applicable in all the particular places, right? So this is the advantage of CSS variable. Okay, so the main thing is how you can define it. So it double hyphen you have to use, variable name, and the value you can define, right? So let's go for one example, so you can get the idea that how you can use the variable. So this is very simple example, right? So here what I have a different divisions. Okay, what I want to do, I want whenever I hover on this particular division, then I want to change the background color. Okay, so let's first of all execute so you can get the idea, right? This is the default output. Okay, now suppose if I zoom it, you can observe that. So whenever I hover on this black, then it will be black, red, yellow, this color, this color, this color, right? So I want to make this kind of variables. So how can I use variable over here? So what I can do, I can define the classes, that is button, then red, yellow, teal, orange, and green, right? Now these are the divisions. Now for that division design, I did that particular things for the body color, that's fine. But for the button, you can see over here, I'm defining the border 2 pixel solid. Okay, and now for the border color, I'm using variable. So you can observe over here, each and every border color is the same whenever I hover the color red on red, black on black. So I want to give variable name over here, that is dash dash color. What color? Black, right? Now whenever I hover that, what I can do, I can change the background color. So similarly, I just go for dash dash color and the black. Okay, so this is my first one, default first division. Now, whenever I go for different, you can say boxes or you can say divisions, then suppose for red, what I need to do, right? Dash dash color red, dash dash color yellow. You can observe the things. I don't need to write this again and again. I don't need to write this again and again. I don't need to write this again and again, right? I just need to change the color and it will be applicable everywhere. So this is also known as the reusability. So suppose if I go for yellow, so for dot button dot yellow, dash dash color is equal to yellow. So what it will create? It will create yellow border, as well as whenever I hover it, it will also change the background to yellow, right? So this way you can define dash dash color variable for individual colors. So you can observe over here, guys, this is very simple example to understand the variable, right? So here, this way you can define the variables. Okay. Now, second example I have created over here. So if you have observed that for a different screen resolutions, your WhatsApp status and that is comes in round color and all that, right? So that is known as the avatar, right? So now if you want to change the avatar size, right? So with the use of calc function, so it is not only introduce the variables, but in CSS3 also functions are also introduced, right? So there are different mathematical functions you can use in a CSS, right? Not in a JavaScript, but in a CSS. JavaScript ni andar chhe, but it in a CSS also you can use the functions. Okay. So now what I want to do over here, I want to create different size of avatars, right? Suppose say for example like this. This is the smallest, then it is going to increase the size, right? Can achieve this. So for that, I need one image. So I'm creating 4 images with the same image, and I'm defining a different avatar classes, right? You can give any name, but for the simplicity and readability, I have given the avatar. Now, this is the block, right? So inline block, that's why it comes in a one horizontal line. If you put on a block, then it will come below one, each and every one, right? Now, what I'm doing over here, I'm calculating the width and height. So my default width and height of smallest avatar is 60 pixel, 60 pixel. So you can observe over here, this is my smallest avatar and the height of is 60 and width of it 60 pixel, right? Now, what I want to do, I want to change this. So how you can calculate only by changing the variable. So here, what I'm doing in a calculate function, I'm passing one value that is my variable dash dash size. One is for the particular things that will be added in a 1 pixel into 60 pixel, right? So whatever size is there, so it multiplies that with the particular 60 pixels. Now I want to double the size. So size equal to 2 into 60, 3 into 60, 4 into 60, right? So you can see small, medium, and large size. So according to that, you can define the different sizes with the use of variable and function also, right? So I hope it is clear to everyone.